This is a View from the Bridge, official podcast of the Belfast Giants for kingdomofthegiants.com. Today is Tuesday, the 20th of January, 2026. My name is Patrick Smith. I'm joined by the Belfast Giants statistician, Mr. David McGimsey, and delighted to be joined by an old friend of ours, Neil Russell. Television, Neil the Coach Russell, apologies, proper terms. I'll get to all the pleasantries in a bit, guys. We are going to get stuck into the show. We will talk about the hockey. We will be talking about the wins over the Steelers, and we'll be joined by Cam Critchlow of the Manchester Storm and, of course, Karl Boudrias. But very sadly, we do start the show with the passing on Saturday of a true Belfast Giant in Blake McCaughey. The word came through on Saturday. The man who we all know, we all love, a guy loved right throughout the Belfast Giants fan base and beyond, as told by the amount of love and affection that's been coming from teams right across our league and from people right across the country. When the news came through on Saturday, it was a gut punch to one and all. We are joined by his friends in Simon Kitchen, Kohei Sato, Laura Small, and Kieran Long. And guys, as much as, of course, our thoughts and prayers and love go out to the family, but also to you guys, guys who knew Blake incredibly well. Laura, could you tell us about the Blake that you knew?
Sure. I'm going to tell you first a little bit about how we met Blake. So Adam and Dicko, and I think maybe Murph, were getting one of their 2 a week free Frankie and Benny's in 2015. And Christine and Blake and their family were in, and they just went over and asked for a picture with Adam. And, well, you know what it's like once you meet Blake, that's it. You're not going to just be like, okay, see you. So Adam was like, well, we're out of season. So Adam said, let me follow you on Twitter and we'll keep in touch and you can come in and meet the team. And that's what happened. And they were so shy. Him and Pixie wouldn't look at Adam. She took a liking to Nicker. I mean, he wasn't exactly the friendliest looking person either. And they didn't speak a word the whole time they were there. And then that night they just came alive. They were like different people. They were just the wee Blake that we all knew, just the cheekiest wee soul, just so affectionate, just gave you absolute unconditional love. He didn't have any ulterior motive. He just loved people. He loved life. And for somebody who had a very difficult life, he never, ever, ever complained, ever. Adults can learn so much from him, honestly. It's just his zest for life. He was just fantastic. And then just from that moment on, he was just part of our special kids. We have a bunch of special kids, as everybody knows. Ethan, Dahi, Dylan, Nicole, Molly, Oscar and Jaden, unfortunately, have already passed away. But they have a huge part of our time at the Giants. And we actually just celebrated 10 years of Blake and Pixie at the Giants just in October there. And he has just brought us a ridiculous amount of joy and laughter. And you could be having what you think is a bad day at work. And you just see Blake and it's just all gone. He just cheered you up. He just gave you the biggest, tightest hug. Like like a neck hold. Like he just had you you just felt so loved. I just feel really, really grateful.
Simon,
I'm privileged enough to have that time with him and all that love from him. And I'm really, really grateful. And it'll never, ever, ever be forgotten. I had a relationship with him outside of the Giants as well. And I'm just really grateful that the McCaughey family shared him with me. It's really lucky.
Simon, I described him in the opening as a true Belfast Giant. He was, the fan base took him to heart. You see in the media, he's described as a super fan. He was much more than that to us.
Listen, Laura's literally touched on a hell of a lot of what we know and what we've been lucky to have shared with me, Blake, and we were lucky to be on a couple of trips with him, notably the one for Boston, which was probably the best trip I've ever had, and some memories which will never leave me. It's just so difficult, and I think everybody that's watched this show knows that I'm a complete and utter arsehole, And you know, I'm never
Agreed.
short for words. I'm never short for words. And just in the last few days, I'm really, really struggling. And I feel so blessed that being a part of Blake's life over the last 10 years, and you know, Christine and Andy, Neil and Pixie, and the whole McCaughey family have just been fantastic with us. And it's just the whole thing. It's just very, very hard to put into words right now. The kid is just the best kid. And I just, as I say, I've been very, very, very lucky to have been able to share some moments with him over the last 10 years.
Kieran, anybody who follows you on social media, or Hannah, or has seen firsthand, you know, the photographs and everything that you guys put up. But for you, so as a player, and to the boys in the room, you know, he's always there by the tunnel. He's always there getting involved. He's always there as part of the organisation. Gives an insight from inside the room as to what Blake meant to you lads.
You know, obviously Laura and Kitchy have already touched on a lot. I found out just before the game on Saturday, which was tough because we didn't obviously want to share the news with the boys because we wanted to get the win for Blakey.
I think he would definitely want you to win for sure.
But just knowing what had happened and walking out and seeing his empty seat was,
We want to give you the bird.
yeah. And you know, he was something special to everybody in that locker room over the years.
Is that a longer haircut in that photograph? Like a longer haircut.
That is class.
You picture that.
Special to team talks occasionally and get the boys going and flip us off. That was like Blakey.
And Kohei, you know, you've come back. It's good to see you, even if it is under such sad circumstances. You know, and it just goes to show just what he meant to the boys like yourself coming in and giving this sad news.
Yeah, I was gutted. Laura actually called me on Saturday, right before the Giants game. Actually, she texted me and said, you know, she doesn't have great news for me. Don't know why my mind went, but thought of Blake. And then, you know, I heard the news. He was such an inspiration for everyone. Even for me, I'd love to see him right by the tunnel, giving high fives, screaming at me, making faces, flipping me off. You know, he actually gave me the power to go out there and do well for him. Anytime I do well, bad, look up to him. Even after the games, he's always waiting for us to, you know, come see him. Gives me the biggest hugs ever. Actually, first time I met him, you know, I didn't know how to, you know, act around him or interact with him. Gave me the biggest hug, smiled at me, and I just knew at that moment that he was someone special and someone that was going to be with me no matter what. And yeah, I was very privileged and lucky enough to got to know Blake and the whole family. And I couldn't be, you know, more happy that that happened and made a huge impact in my life. So, yeah.
Davey, it just goes to show, like, and we're seeing some of the videos from when he was given player of the game in a game against the Sheffield Steelers, and he was also the winner of the March 2017's of Youth in the Bridge Player of the Month award. You know, I think I've got a picture of that somewhere. But Davey, you know, your point of view, you know, what Blake meant to you, meant to the organisation, meant to us as Belfast Giants.
Yeah, I think I'll first of all go down the route of the Belfast Giants and what Jim Gillespie has created here. And when I say we are important, I don't mean the podcast. I mean the Belfast Giants are important. I seen a tweet from Christine. It's probably 10 years ago now, or maybe not 7 or 8 years ago, where she said we first got involved with the Giants through Laura like 3 years ago, and we found the biggest network of people that have become so important to us and become so important to so many families of these kids with life-limiting illnesses. And what Laura and Simon and the club do with these to support these families, give these kids. Blake has now been with the club for 10 years and he'll be with the club forever now. But, you know, this club's important to so many people for so many reasons. The tributes that have been paid to Blake already far outpass anything I can say. I'm just so proud to be Belfast Giant in this moment, that we can support his family even at this sad time. We've supported him over the last 10 years and that will not change going forward.
And Coach, obviously, you know, it just goes to show the amount of outpouring from right across the league. It's not just from the Belfast Giants. We've seen it from the Steelers and the Clan. We've seen it from fans right across the league, that a lad like this can touch so many hearts. His personality was second to none, but he's touched so many hearts and he's going to be so sadly missed.
Yeah, very much so, Paddy. I had the pleasure of meeting him on a few occasions and speaking with Christine and what have you on quite a few occasions as well over the years. Just incredibly sad, kind of as I think it was maybe Kieran alluded to, then you just came through before the game started on Saturday, and yeah, I just couldn't believe it. You know, it was in my head just a few weeks ago thinking I hadn't heard too much or seen too much over the past while, and yeah, it's just incredibly sad. But as you say, the impact that he had right across the league. But again, you know, everyone's kind of touched on it. Certainly Davey there in his piece. You know what Laura, Adam, Belfast Giants have seen stuff. Kieran and Says and everyone that's you know, on all the team over the years have made him and numerous kids who have obviously had really difficult and disadvantaged lives in so many ways. It's been enriched by the Belfast Giants, and it's been enriched by the hockey community, and I think that's what separates this sport from so many others, is that yeah, everyone argues, bitches and moans at each other at different stages. You've got that fan element and the bitter rivalry and all that type of stuff with various different organizations, but actually whenever this type of thing happens, everyone kind of comes together and unites behind it. And Blake was he was a superstar. Funny, I was thinking about it earlier on today, thinking about oh geez, I wondered why you're laughing there, large Lors. Yeah, good old Blake.
He'd have been absolutely delighted at that picture.
Take me back on a few playoff trips there, but yeah, it's so incredibly sad. But it reminded me, actually, we brought a young lad going back to the Manchester Storm days. We brought a young lad, Sebastian, over who had a really difficult kind of start to life. Similar to Blake, and he got heavily involved with this, and Blake and Sebastian met, and I think there was a bit of a UTV piece maybe on that at the time as well, and it was great for those two to kind of connect, and the families and all the rest at the SSE that particular night. But just incredibly sad. Heart literally breaks for Christine and all the family.
Simon, Kohei, Laura, Kieran, we thank you for joining us and such sad news. It's Friday, is it, that Laura is the funeral?
Yes, Friday at 1, leaving from their house at noon.
Okay, we'll be sharing the details of that. Listen, please pass on our love, our thoughts, our prayers to the McCaughey family. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you for everything. Bye.
See you guys.
Drop yourself out there. It's tough, isn't it, Davey, to sort of try to focus on now. I'm trying to focus on the hockey now, but it like just one more thing, just between the three of us. So it's just one of those where a lad who's such a connection to the organization, such a connection to the fan base, such a connection to us. We always say, we've lost one of our own, and when we say that now, mate, it's not just with regards to the Belfast Giants. You see it from right across the elite league. We've lost one of our own.
Yeah, and I guess due to the Giants being around 25 years now, this is going to be a kind of sad ongoing theme whenever they play that montage at the end of the last game of the season, and you see so many faces that you've known for so many years. And it seems to be more and more on that montage every year. And this is just another guy. I know that we pay our own little tribute, Paddy. We raise a glass to all who've gone before us at the end of every season. And without I always think of Big Barry, especially at the games, Barry and Wendy, and there's been so many people that have came and been part of our lives for some for a little while, some for a long time, and Blake's been around for 10 years now. It stung when I got a message. It really came as a shock on Saturday afternoon. I got a message probably just about an hour before the game, and obviously so many people were very, very upset, and rightly so. And all we can do is say that as much as an entity as the podcast is, we're here. If people want to reach out, we'll be we'll pay our tribute in the best way we can. And when we say, we're not glib about it, we'll say we'll always remember these people. We do. And I always put the wee thing about forever and thereafter with the sort of the ice hockey connotation to it, and we try to remember as many of these people that have made a little impact on the Belfast Giants, because the Giants are important, and I said it earlier there, for so many reasons and so many different people, that we can be there at these sad times as well as the happy times. I think makes me proud to be a Giant.
I think to Davy's point there, Paddy, sorry, me, I'll always
it's okay. That's obviously we'll come to you next anyway, Coach.
That was the what Davy alluded to, the video that's shown there of people who have been and gone, and like always, no matter what, and I've been across the water now for well over a decade, and you guys have been longer than me and all the rest, and at times you feel somewhat detached because you're not there like you always used to be every single home game, and you get to know people and so on and so forth. And so we come from a certain demographic where we know the people that have been there for 25 years, like the three of us have. And whenever you see some of those photographs flashing up on the screen, it hits me every time. And like out of the three of us, Davy's definitely the most sentimental. There's no two ways about that. He's the easiest cried out of the three of us, I think. But he every time that comes up, I see a face that I remember, and that like it strikes a chord with me every single year. But it also reminds me of the importance of our club and the Belfast Giants and what we stand for, and that community that we have as an organisation, as a fan base, everything, and just the sport in general. As I said earlier on, the amount of bitching and moaning that goes on, and complaining and finger pointing, and the tribalism that goes on, and so on and so forth, which is all part of, by the way, being a fan, being part of the sport and all the rest. But deep down, everybody unites at times like this. But this, Blake's passing was just it hit me like a ton of bricks on Saturday, because he had just, as I said earlier on, had been in my head a couple of weeks prior, just thinking that I hadn't heard too much and I hope he's doing okay type thing. But some of the people like Laura, Adam, and all the rest, who I certainly saw doing so much with Blake over the years. I mean, I purposely have left Laura alone the last few days because I knew how upset she was going to be, and so on and so forth. Was going to just give it a bit of time. But heartbreaks for Christine, all the family, and but you know what, it's a life cut way too short for the young lad.
Absolutely.
Just wait, and it's heartbreaking. But he what action he put into all the years on this planet, what experiences the young lad got to see and got to get involved in, packs so much into a short space of time. And I'm sure Christine and the family will look back on that with a lot of pride as the years go by.
Absolutely. Our thoughts go to Christine Andrews and to Pixie in this really sad time, and to all the family and to all the friends. And you could just see that, and with regards to the outpouring on social media, with regards to how much he was loved, and we will miss him at Belfast Giants games. Speaking of Belfast Giants games, I'm going to try to flick my head now into talking about them. The Belfast Giants did undertake 2 games against the Sheffield Steelers. I don't know if you noticed over the weekend, a 5-1 win on the Friday and a 7-1 win on the Saturday. Bit of a change for our first post game. Matt Merritt, one of the friends of our show, was there over the weekend. He did a bit of a post game with Adam Keefe. We're going to play you that from Friday.
Adam, a 5-1 win on the first half of a back-to-back. Could you have had a better start to the weekend?
No. Obviously, I thought the first period, I thought Sheffield was very good, high tempo. I didn't think we were bad. I just thought that they forced us to play their game a little bit. I thought we managed it as well as we could have there. I thought Jackson was great. We got a very timely goal there off that face-off. The second period, I thought we brought more of our game, and then third period, I thought that's the way we need to play, especially with the lead there. I thought we were playing simple and frustrating them, and I think that as a result we built on our lead there. Probably if you look at the overall game and you're a spectator, it probably wasn't a 5-1 game in that sense of the way it flew back and forth, but we had some timely scoring there and built on our lead. And we talked about going into the third period there, that we've given up some leads in the past, and making sure that those counted in a sense of we're learning from that and we're not continuing to do it. And let it be a reason why we become a better hockey team. And I thought that the guys proved that last weekend and then proved it again tonight.
Absolutely. And it's been a good couple of weeks for defensemen getting on the scoreboard. Bo Hansen had a bit of a run last week and Karl Boudrias getting his turn this week. How does it feel to get scoring from all around the team like that?
Yeah, and I think that's exactly what you're getting. I mean, obviously Longer gets a big one tonight. Karl gets 2. You're getting it from everywhere, but also it is a 5-man unit out there. The days of just being forwards on the attack are long gone. So our D are very capable, and they're chipping in with some very big goals for us at this time of the year, and it's nice to see. Obviously, building on our lead and giving us a bit of a stress-free third period there. I thought the guys managed it very well.
Absolutely, and although he wasn't maybe called upon as much as he has been in some other games, Jackson's standing strong again at the back as well.
Yeah, he was very good. And then we give up that breakaway to, one of the best players in the league in Balmus, and he stands tall for us, even though we're up at that stage. I think it was 4-1. So, they get one there, and all of a sudden we're under pressure for the last 5 minutes or so. So, Jackson understands what it takes to win in this league. He's a winner, and I'm not surprised.
Absolutely. And last question from me, in terms of taking what you've performed with tonight into tomorrow's game, how do you make sure you keep that momentum without, players getting a bit too excited with the big win?
Yeah, you have to humble yourselves and reset. Like I said, that's a very good Sheffield team. We have to be aware of that. You can't get ahead of yourselves. There's a lot of hockey left to be played in this league. And you got to be focused every night. If you're not in this league, it's going to cost you. So, focus will be the first and foremost. That'll be the big point for us tomorrow morning. Obviously, get some rest tonight, but then we talk about the game and look for little areas that we can improve or continue to do things that we're doing well. But get in tomorrow and get focused right from early days and reset, because 2 points is nice, 4 points is better.
Absolutely. And I lied, there's one more thing from me. You're managing to do this even though still being slightly short benched. What's the kind of outlook for maybe getting back to a full 20-man lineup?
I'm not sure, to be honest with you. But it's next man up mentality with this group, and we're very happy with what we've got right now. In the times that we've brought young Carter in here, he's done a great job for us. So, like I said, next man up here, we just got to keep pushing. The standings don't care how many guys you have on your roster. They just care about the points. So that's got to be the full focus for us. Doesn't matter who's in the lineup.
Absolutely. All the best for tomorrow night.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thanks to Matt Merritt for doing that for us. We have a couple of interviews if we can fit them in, but a big thanks to him. The goal scorers for the Belfast Giants. We'll go against I'll throw the 2 games together and we'll wrap this into one sort of chat. Calder on the Friday, it was a 5-1 win for the Giants. Karl Boudrias, Kieran Long, Karl Boudrias again, David Goodwin and Marcus Ericsson in the power play were the 5 Giants scorers. Mitchell Balmus was the only one for the Sheffield Steelers. And on the Saturday, Scott Conway, Jordan Kawaguchi, Mike Lee, Ryan Smith, Jordan Kawaguchi, and Carson Twinsky with the 7 goals for the Belfast Giants, with Evan Jasper with the only one for the Steelers. Davey, we talked about the statement of intent that took place against the Nottingham Panthers, and we also spoke about how the Sheffield Steelers were maybe wanting to come in here to put to bed the bad run they had in Scotland. Now, outside of maybe the first 20 minutes of the game on Friday, they weren't even in this weekend. And I can't hear you, mate. Your microphone does not seem to be switched on.
Hang on.
There you are. You're back.
I'm back. I'd said something profound there, too. Listen, we talked about it last week, and I I don't know whether Coach watched last week's podcast or not, but I referenced him.
He watches
quite a
every
lot.
week, mate.
Okay.
Every week without fail, Davey.
Well, I referenced you a good few times in the section about next week's games. All the cliches that we used to come up with, Neil, you know, the starting on time, you know, taking your opportunities, ozone pressure, all the stuff that you want to do. And we knew that the Steelers were going to have to come out and throw everything they had at us in that first period and see what stuck. And they got a go-ahead goal, and that's fair enough. But I think outside, as you say, Paddy, outside that first period, and we were still very good in that first period.
Yep.
We controlled the game for large sections. Not a terrible team by any stretch of the imagination, the Steelers, but I just think that we had the control in all three zones, and especially in the neutral zone, we layer up so well in there. We don't make it easy for teams to transition, so they can't set up their ozone shifts like we can. So we get it in there. We go on the forecheck hard, set up that ozone, and just work the socks off the other team. There's the incident that probably changed a lot of momentum in the game as well. Yeah. And Karl Boudrias coming out loud and just came out like a man possessed when he came back out of the penalty box and had an absolutely great game. But you know, just to keep it short and sweet as we always did. It's a really, really strong performance. 12-2 over the course of 2 games against what you perceive to be still one of your big rivals is a great weekend's work. And
that's it, Coach. 12-2 over the course of those 2 games, as Davey says, not something that not something we expected for it to be so one-sided on the score sheet, especially when it comes to the Sheffield Steelers. But there was something like, as good as the Belfast Giants were, and they were very good, the Sheffield Steelers, there's something just not there at the moment.
Well, I agree with everything that David said there, but Davey, I'll always get you back. Too long in the tooth.
It's been over a decade, boys. Come on.
Too long in the tooth with you.
Nobody waited for 10 years for that.
I think first of all, I watched both games over the course of the weekend. I thought the Belfast Giants were absolutely superb. That intensity that Davey alluded to there was phenomenal. The forecheck was just like, it was superb. And I think like the three of us were chatting, weren't we, in the early parts of this season about, you know, maybe some of that intensity was lacking in the early part and all the rest, but, you know, give it a bit of time and the rhythm will come and so on and so forth. It most certainly has come over the last lot of games. There's no two ways about that. But to your question, Paddy, around Sheffield, I mean, I've been shocked because that is on paper. And this always goes back to like that element of recruitment in the summertime. It's part luck. You know, in terms of like chemistry and players gelling and so on and so forth, and obviously a lot of time, love and attention put into your recruitment. But you look at that Sheffield Steelers team on paper, that is a bloody good team. They could not live with the Belfast Giants over the course of 120 minutes. Could not live with and listen, I'll have to give credence as well to Jackson. See, whenever he was called upon, he was bloody stellar over the course of the weekend. There's no two ways about that. But that is a good Sheffield Steelers team. I thought their decor was absolutely hung Greenfield out over the course of both games. I was shocked to see how poor they were on the back end. Some of the goals that were conceded were like, I'm sure Aaron Fox is literally pulling his hair out over what he saw and probably what he has seen over the course of the last few weekends as well. So the results, to your point, up in Scotland as well were really poor. Again, with the depth and quality that the Sheffield Steelers have, and they've added to the roster as well, haven't they? With a former NHLer as well. I was genuinely shocked. Obviously, very very pleased to see what I saw, but genuinely shocked at how poor Sheffield were over the course of that weekend. Don't get me wrong. You know, we have gone to Sheffield. I can remember traveling over to Sheffield on a few occasions, probably going back a good while now, and we have been on the end of some, you know, tankings at different stages. I remember we used to have a bit of a double header for a few years. I remember going over for some of those at different stages, and leaving with a sour bake at the end of the both nights. But you know, it can happen. Hockey is a bit like that whenever you've got momentum on your side and what have you. But I was shocked at how poor Sheffield were, and I'm not sure how much wiggle room they actually have in terms of their roster, in terms of more changes and so on and so forth. But
a couple of walkouts.
Yeah, but if they do have any space, you can be absolutely rest assured Aaron Fox is hunting and scouring the market to make a few moves.
You're absolutely right as well. Like you say, you brought in Brett Ritchie, a guy who played for the Dallas Stars, the Calgary Flames, the Arizona Coyotes, the Boston Bruins. He was in the lineup for his debut over this weekend and obviously didn't go there well. I'm going to hold that point, boys, especially the one on Aaron Fox. I'm going to come back to it because we're delighted to be joined. If he can switch his camera on, there he is. By a man we've just been speaking about who came out like a man possessed on Friday. 2 goals and assists against the Sheffield Steelers, Karl Boudrias. How you doing, mate?
Hey, good yourself, guys.
Yeah, really, really good. Gives you a reflection on what was no doubt, a very positive weekend for the Belfast Giants on the ice, and a great weekend for yourself.
Yeah, it was a great weekend for the boys. It was two important games for us to see what we're capable of, and it was nice to get those 2 games and get those 2 wins. And for myself, it was a really nice weekend as well as the team. So I'm just happy it clicked for myself and the team.
The attitude and the sort of the positivity coming from the room at the minute must be sky high. There must be a real confidence there.
Yeah, every time you play a team like Sheffield, as good as they are, it's really good for the confidence of the team for sure to get those 2 wins and just to be able to prove that we're capable of doing it. It's good for the team.
Carl, I alluded to it there a minute or so ago, just around maybe say that early part of the season and maybe struggling for that kind of consistency. And every team tries to find its way in every season. But obviously the team's been on a monumental roll over the last kind of 6 to 8 weeks. What do you put that down to? Just, again, chemistry all of a sudden forming and just that momentum that you get in sport often?
Exactly, all of the above for sure. Earlier in the season, we had so many injuries. It was hard to get a chemistry going, and all of a sudden it just clicked, and we're having fun off the ice. We're having fun on the ice, so it's nice.
There's a case too, Carl, that there's just no time to think about anything. It's just that we'll be gaming 24 hours with 1 or 2 games of the weekend. It's just been sort of from the middle of December. It's been 3 games a week. It's just been non-stop.
Yeah, no, it's been tough on the body and mentally, and we had two nice days off the last 2 days, so it was nice to get a breather here.
But we're getting through it. These dog days, they don't last forever. It'll be spring soon, and before you know it, the season. This is where the prizes are handed out. This is where the hard work comes into play.
Yeah, exactly. This is the hard work. It's you start with all those games and three games a week. You said. I think that's what we had for a couple of weeks here, and
this week.
So yeah.
And this week obviously was the game. Obviously this week was the game tomorrow night, and then going on into the weekend with the games against Dundee and the game against Manchester, of course. Carl, what brought you back?
I just loved it was nice to win, obviously, and I love the city. I love the vibe. I love the rink, and I saw actually a thing about David Boot the other day. It's like he's like it's like an NHL rink. It feels the same for me as well, even though I didn't play in the NHL, but by watching it, and Montreal is a big city, so it just feels so nice to get that crowd for us and to play in front of our fans in Belfast. It feels unreal. So yeah.
It's definitely a case of the fact that you've come back into that sort of those defensive parents, and you've really hit the ground running. Big, as Davey said, 3 games this week. Game against Guildford tomorrow night over in Guildford. It's one of those things where the momentum just has to keep shifting. You have to keep moving forward, and you just have to go into each game with that positivity.
Yeah, exactly. It's you guys know it, but every game is important in this league. So every game is the same mentality. You want to go shift by shift and period by period, and no matters who are we playing against. There's a really good teams in the league, and it's just getting better and better. So we got to be ready for tomorrow. It starts tomorrow in Guildford. Yeah.
Carl, we often talk a lot about chemistry and forward lines, but let's talk a bit about chemistry in the back line, because the D partnership seemed to have firmed up quite a bit over the last while. How much fun is it to play with Spike?
Oh, it's nice. He's a great guy. He's one of the guys that's gonna chat a lot on the bench and ask you, hey, what did you see there? Like, do you think you're open? What we should do? And it's nice. And he's bringing that offensive and mindset, which is you get a lot of touches. You get a lot of touches in the offensive zone. So it's always nice for a player like me as well. And me and Spike like to defend, and we don't like to get score as well again. So I think we can do a great matchup, a great duo.
Carl, I have just one final question. A big guy at the Belfast Giants who I've followed and loved for many years, both as a player and now the head coach, Adam Keefe. How do you find playing for Kiefer? He was obviously an incredibly intense individual on the ice, tough as nails, pound for pound, one of the toughest guys out there. What's he like as a coach when things are going well, when things are not going well? Does he scream and shout? How does he get the best out of his players? Is there a little bit of the carrot and stick on occasions?
No, he's hard on us, but he's not. He doesn't like really scream or anything that much. He's just he wants to win as much as we want to win. So that's why we trust him and we want to play for him, because we all think he's a good coach and he's a good competitive coach, and we know him as a player. We all saw those videos and stuff on YouTube or whatever. So you don't want to get on his nerve and on his bad side for sure.
Definitely not.
No, the intensity was something else. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
Carl,
Yeah,
listen,
yeah.
listen, big game tomorrow, and I know the travel over to Guildford, so we appreciate you coming on and joining us so late. Thanks very much, and good luck with the rest of the season.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Carl.
See you guys.
Big thanks to Karl Boudrias for coming on and joining us there. I'm just gonna bring it back to what we were just talking about there with regards to Sheffield, and I'm actually going to play. If I got I'm actually going to play the post game from Saturday. We'll hear from Adam Keefe first of all, but just listen to Aaron Fox and the way that he approached what happened after Saturday's game.
Yeah, I thought Sheffield was pretty good this weekend. I know that sounds weird with the score lines, but I mean, certainly the first period yesterday, and then I thought the second period this game. They were coming at us in waves and making it very difficult to defend. However, our guys kept battling, and Jackson, when we did bend, we didn't break because he was there, and he was fantastic this weekend. And we had some time in scoring, and our special teams was great. All factors into the reason why we built our lead. And I thought that the third period today, we really managed that third period the right way, because the second period they were really making a push, and you look at, they hemmed us in our zone there for a while. Jackson was great. We had some key plays in there, and then all of a sudden we punt the puck and we get a 2-0 and we score, right? So that's kind of the way it's going for Sheffield right now. But like I said, fantastic group performance for us. I thought Sheffield was good and battled, competed, and so did we. Right now, we're getting that timely scoring and timely saves, and our special teams was great, and the guys are playing with purpose right now. And obviously, we knew in the back of our minds, first place was on the line as well. So, it's nice to take that spot, but there's a long way to go yet.
Well, from that moment on, it was obviously too late. After we were down a couple, I thought the first 7-8 minutes of that game we were gutless, and which is, as a coach, pretty frustrating. We show video of what's going to happen if you don't play the right way against this hockey team. And again, it was that first goal is a 2-on-5, terrible gap. Two of our should be our two best defensemen. One gets looped inside out, and the other one loses coverage. 1-0. Second goal there, puck's on our tape behind the net. Again, puck doesn't keep moving. There's a wing support there. We hold on to it too long. Leave Greener hanging on that one. 2-0 hockey game, and then we got 4 guys changing, and there's plenty of time to take that puck back and rag that puck. We take a dumb penalty, and it's 3-0 hockey game, and then from that point on, it's did I hate the next 30-40 minutes? No, I thought we pushed back. Start the second period, I thought we dominated the first 4 minutes. The first rush against, we give up another goal. Now it's 4-0 hockey game, and whether you lose 2-1, 7-1, 9-1, you gotta find some pride and and play the right way for 60 minutes, because this was a pretty humbling weekend and it's pretty embarrassing to be a part of.
Interesting comments from interesting calls from Aaron Fox, which I'll come to just in a second. Obviously, Davey, we've got Adam Keefe's, delighted with the way his team played. Delighted we've gone top of the league. There's a long way to go. Giving credit to the Sheffield Steelers, maybe been a bit kind, but in the position that he's in, you'd probably understand that. But obviously, happy with the way this team's played.
Yeah, you certainly don't want to say too much. Probably Coach saying earlier about the double headers. We have a double header in Sheffield. You go to 14th, 15th, or 15th, 16th of March. So we've got to go there a couple of times still this season. And they're not gimme games by any stretch of imagination. So you don't want to go. We say it every week, Paddy. You don't want to get too high whenever you have these big wins, because right backside. No, listen. I still. You said it the other night, and I've had text messages from other people congratulating us on our league championship, but. We've just tipped the halfway point in the season. These are good wins. These are massive points. But I think Adam's right. This hasn't become a bad hockey team. All of a sudden, there's definitely questions to answer in some of the plays, and defensively, we've seen it over Christmas with Fife hanging all night to try. I thought, and Coach said earlier in his piece as well about Greyfield, just get left alone by the defense, and goalies can't. Save games on their own. It needs. We talk about team defense and we talk about defense, and defenses win championships. And at the minute, if you're averaging like we did at the weekend, you're only conceding one goal, you've got a chance in every game. Our goalie gives us a chance to win, our defense gives us a chance to win, and the forwards just decided by how much at the weekend. Good performance, but also there'll be nobody in that giant logger and get carried away with it.
See, just to bring back the point you made there, my point that I was making on our WhatsApp was not that the Belfast Giants are on their way to the championship. Far from it. I think that the Nottingham Panthers are definitely going to have a significant say in that. The point I was making is from the performances I've seen over the last 8 to 10 games from the Sheffield Steelers, and from what we saw on the ice over the weekend, I don't think the Sheffield Steelers will get this back and have a means of getting back into the title race. I think that there is something significantly wrong. You heard there from Aaron Fox, coach, calling out is Kevin Tansey and Dominic Cormier, two absolute top level defensemen in this league, and calling them out straight away, calling his team gutless. Yes, the frustration is absolutely there, but from the performance of that Sheffield Steelers team, like Mitchell Bamas doing what he can, he's leading the league in points. He's good 10 points ahead of the next. Of Jordan Karaguchi, I think, is in second. He's doing his part on the ice. There's an element there. You've seen from Friday, Carl Boudrias is able to skip across the through the blue paint, untouched and backhanded into the back of the net. You see it a number of times where Marcus Ericsson and Rand Smith, who are having a fantastic chemistry at the minute, but they're passing it through ghosts. To be able to have a shot on Matt Greenfield, who I thought had a great weekend, but we said it yourself, was being hung out to dry time and time again. Balmas is doing very well, pushing up front. Useless, as I call him, is doing nothing. And you've got there, I think, and I've sort of what you saw from Aaron Fox there is obviously frustration, calling out his team on the ice, in the room. And I don't see how the Sheffield Steelers get this back.
To hear Aaron Fox, or a coach of the Sheffield Steelers, refer to his team as gutless.
Yep.
My supposed two best D-men, dumb. That was just 3 of the sound bites that I picked up. There were others in there as well. That is scathing. And listen, every coach and every GM and every owner lives and breathes this sport. And obviously Sheffield had. Did I hear the guys say that Sheffield had nearly 1,000 over at the weekend? Great traveling support.
Yes,
that'll play on. Changed. Yeah. But that absolutely, and that will play on a GM and a coach, and feel you're letting your fan base down and all the rest. So those comments from Fox, he won't have said that lightly, because sometimes, as we see, whether it be in football or other sports, comments made like that by a coach can really sting in a dressing room. But it's cold hard, honest truth. That's how poor the Sheffield Steelers have been recently. That said, and as you guys have alluded to, like we're only halfway, pretty much just tipped over the halfway part of the season. There's a long way to go. And this sport, we have seen it over the years. This sport, probably more than any, see once you get trucking, see once you get moving and you find a bit of chemistry, and all of a sudden the world is a far better place. Practice is all of a sudden super enjoyable. It's played at a high intensity, and that feeds right into the match as well. And you build up that momentum, and do not, like, we have been around the block long enough in this sport to know never ever bank against the Sheffield Steelers. But that said, I agree with you, Paddy. There's something, and I have no idea. I haven't spoken to Simsy or anyone in a decent while. You just get the sense, again, probably been around the block long enough. You can see a team that's fully invested and playing for each other and so on and so forth. That looks like a team to me right now that's not fully unified and all on the same page. It looks a little bit, I don't know, detached in some way. So Aaron Foxy's got a big job in his hands without a shadow of a doubt. But it's great to see, isn't it, guys?
Great to see. Great to see, Neil. Great to see. How much pressure is he? How much pressure is he under, Davey?
I think all these coaches in this league are under pressure. It siphons up and down weekend to weekend. It's so competitive at that top end. Not in part of Sheffield themselves, and there's so little between it. Manchester trying to get involved as well. And then the coaches at the bottom end have got their own struggles. Mark Lefebvre's got problems there in Dundee. Fife just can't, get themselves going at all. I think they're from 16 points now, and they're like 11 points out of the playoffs slots at the halfway point in the season. So that's difficult. They've got their own difficulties, and then you talk about those teams that are mid-table. They're just fighting for the next. Probably nobody's going to drop out of the playoff race at this stage. I don't think those other two teams are unfortunately going to be able to get themselves caught up. So what are those other teams playing for? Everybody's got their own problems, but yeah, Aaron Fox for sure has had a troublesome Christmas and New Year period there. So it's going to be feeling the pressure big time in Sheffield.
I'll give you one positive one, Davey, that you can run on just to something that I've been really enjoying with see is the chemistry that seems to be going between Ryan Smith and Marcus Ericsson at the minute is phenomenal. Yeah,
there's been a couple of times during the season that Marcus has clicked with a few different players around him. We remember Andrew Dixon coming on the podcast with us in the off season, just when training camp had started, and saying like this guy, Marcus Ericsson, is one of the best he's ever seen in the rink. And sometimes Marcus makes plays that people aren't on the same page as, because he's just quite that good. And Smitty's really started to get on the same page as him. Those two are ripping it up at the moment.
And there's that goal I was telling you about, where the pass comes through right across the crease from Ericsson, which is he holds it, coach, and he does really well holding it. He passes it across, but you look defensively, ghosts.
Absolute ghost. It's incredible. Great play from Ericsson, and as you say, great pass and what have you. Just finds those, like, quality players that just find that space, don't they? And they've got that vision. They're almost like a step ahead of everybody else. Look at them head up the whole time. Beautiful pass, but the D just like all over the map there.
I love this. If I can just go back, which is like you see here, Marcus Ericsson plays with a stick that's longer than he's a big guy, but he plays with an enormous stick. And the D man here makes two legit efforts.
One there.
And there's another one coming.
Yeah.
Just the length of the stick is too long for him. He's just,
it's a big stick.
And Ericsson's got it right there. But as coach says, the most important thing there is he plays that whole play with his head up.
100%.
And he's waiting for Smith to come in on the back post, and he just finds a lovely little seam through. Sorry, coach.
No, that was me. They're great to watch. And I noticed that, in the game, was it last weekend or the weekend before against Nottingham, who you alluded to as a contender this season. Just blew Nottingham away. Just play with that intensity throughout that game as well. But what I saw this past weekend, like, definitely filled you with a lot of energy for heading down the stretch. But bloody long way to go. All it takes is a couple of injuries to a couple of key players and a couple of bad defeats, and just all of a sudden, just it's like bursting a balloon at times in the sport.
Yeah, just talking a moment, like, we've got to go to Nottingham twice in the next few weeks. We've got to go to Coventry twice in the next few weeks. We've got to go to Sheffield twice, double headers in all these places. There's a lot of travel involved in that. I know, you'll get one night in a hotel or whatever, but there's same for every team across the course of the season, of course, as you'd say, but there's a lot of travel involved in that, but we have to go to some big places and go seek out points in the next few weeks. So it's a long way from
100%.
the book being written here. But here, celebrate the successes when they come along. This was a big weekend. The last 2 weekends have been massive. The last 6 weeks have been incredible.
25 years.
Last 3 months.
What a year! What a year!
It hasn't been terrible since January.
The last 25 years have been something else.
It's been all right.
Are we bringing back that hashtag that Kiefer started back in 2000 and whenever it was 11 or 12? So hashtag this is the year, or whatever it was called.
Hey, tell you what, since
hashtag chance for year
since Kiefer swapped the skates for the work boots and the clipboard,
different
gravy,
gravy.
He hasn't done badly.
Different gravy. Yeah, incredible. The GOAT.
We'll come back to that, boys. The highlights from this game are available, of course, from our very good friends at Belfast Giants TV. I think Marty did a great job doing the play-by-play over the weekend, really growing into the job, and yeah, it's good to hear. So you get that from Belfast Giants TV on YouTube. Right, Belfast Giants have 3 games in the next 7 days. We're away to the Guildford Flames on Wednesday night. We are at home to Dundee Stars on Saturday, and then on Sunday we return to the Drizzle Dome, Planet Ice and Altrincham, to face the Manchester Storm, who have been doing really well of late. They're in 5th position. And earlier on, I had yesterday it was, I had a chat, spit them all out.
Spit the bricks out, we'll all build a house, Paddy.
Thanks, man. That's good to have it back. I had the chance to chat with their head coach, Cam Critchlow. Cam, good to have you back on. First time we've had you back on since you returned as coach. You must be happy the way things are going. Sitting 5th in the league, and you're doing really well with how it's going this season.
Yeah, thanks for having me back on, boys. Yeah, you're right. I'm happy with our team to this point. I think we've been playing hard all year, but we're finding a lot more consistency in our overall game right now, which is great to see. I think every night we show up, we certainly think we have a chance to win no matter who the opponent is. So got to keep that going. I know we're just over the halfway point here, so still a lot of hockey left.
Talk to us about that decision you made to come back to Manchester, but to be behind the bench. Obviously, the back end of last season, we saw you were captain in that side. You were very well loved in that rink by all the fans, and a lot of them were sad to see you go. But the decision came, and talk us through your mindset of coming in and saying, you know what, yes, I'm going to come back and I'm going to coach.
Yeah, I think the opportunity is just too good to pass up if you're, offered that to be in a position to come and take over a team, and you pride yourself on being a hockey guy and knowledgeable and a leader first and foremost. So I think it's a good challenge for myself, and it's been a lot of fun. Honestly, it's been great. Our group, they really worked their asses off. They care about one another. All the things you like to see or be a part of on a team or coach a team. So it's been a lot of fun, and it's not what I had planned to do necessarily, but I'm really glad with the decision I made, and I'm honestly very happy to be back in Manchester and taking on that role, and it's been outstanding.
Talk us the differences, because obviously, when you're the captain of that team and you're in the room with the boys, you have to be in amongst the boys, and you're the one motivating them from the bench or from the ice. You're now the man in charge. Do you have to? And a lot of those guys are the same guys. Do you now have to sort of have an arm's length with those guys, and because you're not that guy in the room anymore?
Yeah, I think that's important. I mean, there's certainly a lot less pints at the pub with the boys, but yeah, you should. I think the 5 returning guys that we have and myself, I think, we have a professional relationship, and there is times maybe go out and grab dinner together or something like that along those lines. But it's just from a different lens, I guess, now. And obviously, I think having Matt Ginn previously go through this and being his captain, I think it really helped, honestly, because I think he did an excellent job when he did it of finding that sweet spot, right, a little bit of 1 foot in, 1 foot out, kind of ear to the door. You're kind of in both rooms and, part of both cultures a little bit. But I'm very thankful that I had that and saw that first before I had to go through it myself. So, yeah, I think the guys have accepted me as their coach, and they've accepted the work that I give them, and they come prepared, and I think that they see me as a coach no differently than any other coach they've ever had in their past.
That was going to be my next question in regards to Matt Ginn, and obviously he's doing well out there in Atlanta. Got himself an all-star berth there as well. But have you reached out to him to sort of for any advice or sort of an insight as to how these changes take place?
Well, yeah, we talk, I don't know, every day, all day. Yeah, no, and I've gone to him for a lot of advice, plenty of advice. I mean, he's coaching in the ECHL All-Star game tonight. So, yeah, proud of him for what he's doing, and he's moving up, which is great. And I'm sure he'll be moving up fast within pro hockey. And yeah, he's a great guy to learn from. He's a very intelligent guy. He knows hockey. He hates to lose. A lot of great intangibles we share, very similar perspectives on the game and life. So yeah, no, he's a great guy for me, a great sounding board for me. He's been an outstanding help.
Talk to us about these last couple of months and the results that you've been bringing in. Not least the back-to-back wins over Sheffield, the wins over Cardiff. You got a win against ourselves in Belfast not that long ago either. The team you've put out there are a tough team to beat.
Yeah, I think they work. Like they're hard to play against, man. They battle. They don't mind playing along the boards. They'll finish hits. They'll stick up for one another. It's just all the things you go through. You're right. They're tough to play against because they work hard. 200 feet. They backtrack hard. They're above pucks. They're positionally sound. Yeah. But they play on their toes. They play fast. And it's just, even like we have more depth this year, which allows us to get guys more rest, playing like more legitimate minutes rather than being 25, 26, 27 minutes. Obviously, Nicky Welsh plays a ton, but you want him on the ice as much as you can. And but for the forwards, I think there's just it's giving them more opportunities. But I think our team's in better shape this year. I think they're more committed in the gym. I think there's a lot of things that, we're just improving on as a group, as a team. And it's kudos to them. They're putting in the work. And you're right. We've had some big wins over some big clubs. And we've had great games with every team this year. I think if you look at yourselves, the last game at home, we lose 5-4. I feel like we played good enough to win that game. The previous two matchups, we're up 3-0, blow, and you guys score 6 in the third, but then we just put it behind us and win the next day in overtime. Like, that's impressive to me. I think that's character, and that's just being a good pro. And it's an emotional game, and you feel devastation sometimes, and then you feel jubilee sometimes. So it's just kind of like what it is, and you just keep moving forward, put your head down, do your work, and go about your business. And yeah, the Sheffield games it was a huge hurdle for us, and even myself, I think. You go in and win in Sheffield. It was pretty good fashion the way we played. You come back at home 2 nights later, you do it again. That's not easy to do. Beating the team twice in a row, playing them back to back. It's very rare that a team. I know you guys just did it this past weekend, but I think that's quite a rarity. Usually you'll see a split in those situations. The team that loses, they usually come right back with a little more snot, a little more fight the next night.
Like we had with you in Belfast back in November, and right. It going both ways. And you look at the roster and you look at the guys you have, and the guys who are putting the puck in the net, and the guys who get assists like Hayden, Johnson, Gilmore. These are guys who are able to do it. Cutler, really guys who are able to do it. But also you've got a great sort of British core, and I look at that last game that we had back over in Belfast, and Rhys Francis with a lovely goal early on, and and he had another chance as well. You look at Bradley Jennion getting involved, and we've talked there also about likes of Josh Crawley, and now Connor Lee coming back in the lineup. Yeah, I mean our Brits, Rhys Francis is a hard worker. He's got a great attitude. Like we told him at the beginning of the year, we said, your skating's not good enough. You need to work on your skating. And like he would approach me. We would work on things. He works on things on his own. And now I think he's a hell of a skater. He's come a long way in a short period of time. And he's carving out a nice little role for himself and earning himself more minutes as we can progress. Same thing, Brad Jennion. Like it's different because we've had a lot of young Brits over the years, and Brad's not. He's a seasoned pro. He's played in the SPHL for a number of years, and he's kind of developed that tough type of player and honest player. Will stick up for his teammates. He scored some beautiful goals, but he's making a huge impact on these games. So that's great to see. And then Josh Crawley has had a little bit of injury trouble, but when he's in the lineup, he makes our team a lot better. He's a great skater. He's physical. Obviously, we have Sully back there, great depth piece on the D side of it.
he's been in the league for like 12 years, maybe more even. And then you got Connor Lee coming back, which, he was, for watching his tape, I like the way he looks playing over in the BCHL. It's going to be up to him. He's going to have to come in and earn his spot, because there's guys playing well, but it gives us more competition within. It makes the team around us better, our players better. It makes it just a better all-over environment to win hockey games. And Connor has talent. He can skate. He can stick handle. I think he's learning the game more and more, and I'm excited to see what he can bring for us. Honestly, I think he's got something to prove, and I think we're going to see that.
The next question, I don't mean this to sound disparaging to those players, and I hope you understand what it is when I ask it, is that obviously on your shoulders is the need to win and to get the results and to put the results out there. Is there a conflict when it comes like tight games where you will lean more on your imports because of their experience, because of the standard they've came through, or do you just see these as lines running lines?
It depends. I see it, honestly, if we're going to be down and needing goals, or if we're trying to protect leads, I think whoever's having strong games will play. Like, yeah, you want to get your imports out there. There's 15 of them. You might as well use them.
Yeah.
But, there's been a number of times this year where, we've moved a guy up from the fourth line into the top six just because one guy wasn't having a great game and the other one really wanted to work that night. So, I think you can use that to kind of give guys a jolt that if they're not, you can't get comfortable. You can't just take nights off. That's not part of our DNA here. So, but again, that's those guys pushing them. And like you had, aforementioned, like Reese Francis scored a beauty goal in Belfast, creates more opportunities for him. And then, he had a strong game against Glasgow last week. And I think he had his highest numbers of the season in terms of time on ice. And it's just good to see, because that's earned. That's not just given. That's earned, and full credit to our guys in those situations.
Your next 4 games are Sheffield, Belfast, Sheffield, and Coventry. Mixture of home and away. It's a bit of a tough run. What are your aims? What are your like first year of coaching? You're sitting in 5th. You're obviously driving for that playoff berth. But overall, in your head, what were your aims, and are you achieving them?
Well, I mean, when we spoke to the guys early in the summer when we were trying to put this team together, I really wanted them to know that I was, very serious about winning a trophy. We want a trophy. I haven't been to a playoff weekend as a player. That pisses me off, quite frankly. We want to win, and that's what they've accepted that, and they know that, and I think they're delivering that. So the next goal is to catch the team in front of us, which is Sheffield, and you just said we played them twice in the next 4 games. So that's a great opportunity. We're 4 points behind them, 2 games in hand. I said to the boys when we were in Belfast, it's like, just, we have a lot of golfers on our team. And said, we're climbing the leaderboard, boys. We're making birdies, putters heating up a little bit. We're finding fairways. So we're just keep going here and, keep playing well, but enjoy it. That's why we play. It's fun being in these meaningful games. And if you look at our team compared to last year, it sucked. We underachieved. It was completely unacceptable. And it wasn't fun. We weren't playing meaningful games. We were trying to fucking hold on for dear life, and we didn't. So I mean, this is why guys play. They want to be in these situations. They want to be challenged. And there's a lot of good teams in this league. You're never going to have an easy game in this league, and everybody knows that. But again, if we can keep climbing, and there's some teams this year playing extremely well with good rosters. Obviously, the Giants are playing awesome right now, and but I think it's a really good wake-up call for our guys to be in those games with these teams and see, oh, wow, why not? We're right here. Yeah. So just keep moving, one day at a time, keep working one game at a time. But again, enjoy every day and embrace the work, because it's fun being a part of something successful.
One last question, Cam, before I let you go. Appreciate your time. Is the game on Sunday is obviously in that building of yours, and that building of yours, I can't stop saying I'm bringing friends to the game on Sunday, and they were asking about what's it like to go in there and face a storm and blah blah blah. And obviously, Giants are doing well, so you guys must do well in there. And I'm like, I hate going there because you never know what on earth. We've been 5-1 up, and we've ended up losing the game in the third period. We've been in such incredibly strong positions, but when the momentum in that building turns, it really turns. And the game that took place there a couple of weeks ago was an absolute cracker. It was end to end. There was 2 strong teams going at it. You have a full barn as well, and the last number of weeks that I've been there, it's been packed in there. The atmosphere has been great. So that really drives you guys forward.
It really does. And I mentioned it in my post-game interview on Friday against Glasgow after. Like it is electric in there. And when the boys come out for, before the anthem and the building's rocking, it's pretty cool. It's cool to see. It was awesome as a player. It was one of my favorite things. And then as a coach, you kind of just soak it all in because you're just, I mean, there's really nothing else you can do. But our fans have been amazing. And you're right. Like the momentum turns just like that. And things happen very quick in that rink. And you're never really out of it. And it comes quick. And I thought Belfast, the Giants play well in our rink. They're a big physical team. They skate well, and they don't seem to have any adjustments. I know they've only been here once so far, but they had a strong game. And they were tough to play against. They played a style that we like to play, so it was kind of just toe to toe. And I'm sure it'll be more of that. And with last game we were there, and Towarski and Jenyon had a great tilt, which I thought was awesome. Both sides. Kudos to those guys. I don't think there's anything lingering from that, but it's just good to see, guys sticking up for one another and say, yeah, I'll take you on right now. Let's go. So I'm sure there could be more opportunities for that as well.
Well, it's good to see you back in Manchester, Cam. Thanks for joining us, mate.
Thanks, Pat.
Massive thanks to Cam Critchlow for his time and joining us this week. Obviously, the game is on Sunday at 5:30 in Altrincham. When it comes to Manchester Storm, who am I going to speak to? Davey, Neil Russell, Davey. Coach, listen. Obviously, your time there with the Manchester Storm is one you look back with fondly, and you're associated with passion and everything out there. Look at the current Storm. Look at it, Cam Critchlow. Listen to what he has to say. He's doing a hell of a job.
I think he's doing absolutely superb, Cam. He really is. You know what? He kind of reminds me a little bit of Ryan Finnerty. Ryan, obviously, we remember him as a player. Very good player. So whenever I say that rink rat mentality and never say die, I say it with the greatest of respect because I love watching Ryan play. But he was equally as kind of tenacious and built really good teams and made sure that his teams kind of bought in, etc. And play with that level of intensity that fans really kind of bought into. And I think, his appointment of Critchlow has been a stroke of genius. And it's same with Ginner as well. Cam mentioned it there, didn't he, about how well Ginner's doing over in Atlanta, which is great to see because Matt Ginn, to those who maybe haven't come across him in your time in hockey, one of the true gents of ice hockey. Ding. It genuinely is. So I'm delighted to see how well Ginner is doing. It's great to see as well, we talk about Andrew Lord and other coaches who've gone on to different things and better things and what have you, and the opportunities that exist. And, if Cam Critchlow keeps doing what he's doing, I mean, you look at the Manchester Storm, they're sat there in 5th at the minute. They've a game in hand in Guildford and a 5-point gap. That is I know, again, as we mentioned on a couple of occasions here so far, we're only tipping over the first half of the season. Things can unravel, as we've said 100 times, but he is doing a very good job. As you alluded to in your final question around the storm shelter, we always talked about, it was difficult in the first year because I don't know if I told you, I put that team together in 6 weeks. But the second season,
you know what? 10 years have passed, and that story just never gets old, mate. Never gets old.
Yeah. But the second season, we were constantly saying they've got to turn this barn into an advantage. It's horrible, it's a horrible rink. The opposing teams hate. I always remember Eric Nielsen doing like a huddle with the guys, just saying every other team has got to hate it. We've got to fall in love with this rink, and that is a hard thing because it is an old, dilapidated rink. Showers don't work properly, cold water, blah, blah. So many things to kind of bitch and moan about again. But I think the likes of Ryan and Cam Critchlow, those types of individuals, Ginner and Big Dallas still around the team and so on and so forth. Those are guys, are true team guys that buy in. And, it's great to see, as you say, Paddy, when was it, 2005, what's that, 10, 11 years ago? Whenever we restarted the Manchester Storm, and as you say, it was an unbelievable kind of couple of years that I absolutely cherish and still look back on with incredibly fond memories. But delighted to see, certainly over the last kind of few years, where those crowds have just continued to build and build, and that is not an easy place to sell in many ways. But when that building is packed, bloody hell, the atmosphere is superb whenever it's packed, and that can be kind of the sixth man on the ice for the Storm.
One thing, Davey, to say is that, especially with like that the chat there we had with Cam Critchlow, and how strong he has that team going, is that you look at who he replaced, sort of in Mike Flanagan. Matt Ginn comes in there, experience of the league, great goalkeeper, experience of the league, gets him into the playoffs, does a great job there. Mike Flanagan comes in with reputation, doesn't cut it. Cam Critchlow, experience in the league, shows what you can do. We said all the time, coaching in this league is a different beast.
Yeah, and experience of this league, and having to start winning games at the end of August or the start of September, and them all being as important as the next one. You can't nail games in this league. And, just to go over more cliches that we've talked about for 20 years in this podcast, winning in September is as important as winning in April. It's just the intensity, the level of intensity, and maybe as a coach where you came from an outside league where that level of intensity night in, night out for 54 game plus maybe 14 in the, anything. Giants could play up to 80 games this season, and all 80 games will have had skin in the fight. It's just the intensity of that over the course of less than 9 months in some cases is just, you need a very special coach and someone that understands what needs.
It blows my mind in many ways. I have this conversation with Pash all the time. It blows my mind that there's so many. You find some really good coaches who have coached, whether it be in the American League or high end in the East Coast. You bring them over, all the credentials, all the tools, the experience, the CVs, and you're going, landed a good coach here, whether it be in Nottingham or Cardiff or whatever. I like the guys that have done well here are either the British coaches that going back a while, Paul Thompson over the years, or those individuals who have been across and around the league. To both your points, and I don't know what like Danny Stewart, obviously, was in Fife, etc. Then Coventry for a long period of time. Now stepped into Nottingham and doing a really good job there. Just like that familiar. I don't know what it is. It's bizarre to me weird, because it's weird because hockey coaches, like whether it be if you're a top end coach in the East Coast Hockey League, I mean you're used to traveling on coaches all over the US or all over the coast, blah blah blah, constantly. It's not like it's any majorly different here. There just must be a little bit of a nuance here and understanding of the league. But I think the big probably the overall thing is where the new coaches struggle to adjust is going back the league being the number one here. Yes. So like those performances are as equally important in September as Davey said, as equally important in September as they are in April.
Well, and then like you look at let's take as a case study the Braehead / Glasgow Clan. John Tripp, Malcolm Cameron, Jason Morgan, all guys who come in with decent reputations, decent coaching, doesn't work. And it's just like you have to have that. Whereas the last coach,
would you put Derek Walter in that category?
Well,
what's the question there about Walter?
As in coming in, was Walter successful?
I don't think so. I'm not sure Derek knew anything about this league or the players when he first arrived here.
Do you think he knew where he even landed?
So here's a criteria that it probably feeds into what I was just about to say in a similar fashion. The last coach I can remember being successful, having come in here with no previous experience, is Ben Simon. But Ben Simon put the Sheffield Steelers on his back, and he 100%. Was basically on the ice winning that title for him, which is a different scenario to, and Derek Walser is a similar vein, whereas he was probably one of the best players on the ice. And
we'll go away then from the player coach question. Who was the last coach that really came in that wasn't playing as well as coaching? Andrew Lord had success at Cardiff.
But on the ice, he knew the league.
But he knew the league. He also had success. Player coach there as well. First of all,
he was. Yeah. I honestly, I don't know. I'm going right back here and just literally plucking out of my head. Would you say, comparatively or relatively speaking, Doug Christensen did a really good job in Edinburgh. As some of the, I suppose, but he had played here as well, hadn't he?
No, he played player coach with Edinburgh.
Oh, he was player coach with Edinburgh as well. That's right. Jeez,
But
going back a long time.
But
Can't think.
But like, even if you think about the league winning coaches.
Here's one for you.
Go on.
Can't remember his bloody first name. The Coventry coach, Weber.
Chuck Weber winning the playoffs.
Won the playoffs, didn't he?
Won the
Was
playoffs.
that his first year?
That was the Ross Venus, wasn't it?
I'm still skeptical as to whether saying that you win the playoffs in this country is a massive prize.
It's a
game you really want to win. It's the game to win, but whether or not, from a coaching perspective, you've had 2 hot weekends.
4 games.
It's the league. The league.
Yeah. It is the league, and if you think about Tomo, obviously experienced in this. You're talking about Adam Keefe experience in this league. Even Paul Eadie had experience. It was well experienced in the British game. Exactly, well experienced in the British game to be able to come in and do. But the only one I can actually think of is Ben Simon, and that's because he was just a outstanding player who was able to take the Sheffield Steelers and basically score all their goals and win the title for them. It's an interesting scenario. But coming back to Cam Critchlow, I could have spoken that interview could have been half an hour long, boys. I really enjoyed chatting with him. He's got a great insight to the game. He's got a great passion to the game as well, which is that game. Obviously we've got 2 games before we go into Altrincham, and that'll be on Sunday at 5:30. I'm going to have to mention it, Davey. Sorry about this. Congratulations.
He's watching.
Is he watching?
He's watching.
Hello to Omar Pasha. Congratulations to the Nottingham Panthers, who beat the 3rd best team in Kazakhstan to win a dinner plate. Well done to them. You get a medal for that, Davey. You get a medal for that. 3rd best team in Kazakhstan. You get a medal for it. Well, you're on mute, but you're on mute. You're on mute.
Omar Pasha put you on mute.
I think he's on mute on purpose. But they become coach only the 2nd team. Sorry, the first team to win it 2 times. Well done to them. You have an affinity. You're happy for Pash. Gush about Omar Pasha. He's won the playoffs and now he's won the Continental Cup as the man in charge there.
Yeah,
and, no doubt you're very proud of him.
I get regular ribbing from you two because CEO. Of our club's history and our #NFNF. But I am delighted for Pash. I've said to him as well, though, the Europe's side of things, and I am all for progression, growth, getting the league name out there, etc., etc. For me, it's domestic domination. I'd love to see more growth within the elite league, more clubs forming and what have you, in kind of some of the bigger cities and so on and so forth as well across the country. But delighted for Pash. It's still an achievement. They had their barn. Rocking there on Saturday night. I was watching the dual games, Giants, and then the final game as well. The Kazakhstan team were actually fairly decent. They were pretty decent to watch.
He's taking it out.
Man, honestly, he's on the wrong podcast. You bring him back in if you want, but I'm not for having this.
I'm delighted for Omar. Delighted for Danny. And for Danny, it was a big move for him making the move from Coventry to Nottingham. He's done very well.
To give them the dues, and I've said this before, and I had this chat with a friend on the other night. To give them the dues, there's 2 lads, in Omar Pasha and Danny Stewart, who have served their time in the Elite League.
100%.
And they've worked their way around. They've between Scotland, Newcastle, in Altrincham, in Hull. These guys they know the game. They've served their time just doing what they can with the team. I'm doing pretty well with the teams that they were able to get involved with, that they were involved with. But getting the spoils. And I said this after the playoffs. It's not something NFNF, but I'm happy for the boys. I'm happy for the boys in that respect.
I'll go along with that.
You were saying that on Saturday night in WhatsApp group.
Mitch and Darren and Razor and Laura and all those ones behind the scenes down there that I'm playing with. Congratulations.
Yeah, well done to them. Right. The Belfast Giants have 3 games, as we said, over the next 7 days. We are away to Guildford at the Spectrum on Wednesday night at 7:30. If you're not making a trip over there, or you can join our good friend Anthony Russell, who's getting ready for that game. He'll be doing the commentary on Flames TV. Then we are at home to the Dundee Stars. That's unusual. We never play the Dundee Stars. We're at home to the Dundee Stars at 7 p.m. on Saturday at the SSE Arena. The crowds have been absolutely huge. Get yourself a ticket down to that. And if you can't, you'll be able to join the boys, like be it Gareth Martin, be it Stevie Boucher, be it Michael Owens on
X-rated Michael Owens. He was
X-rated by Michael Owens.
Hey, Dizzle Viper. He was
nearly getting cancelled. Nearly getting cancelled. That's it. Well, it was too woke nonsense. But yeah, you get them on Giants TV, and then we go over to the Drizzle Dome to take on the Manchester Storm in Altrincham, 5:30 on Sunday. If you're not making the trip over, and if I'm not going to see you there, then you can get it with Max and the guys on Storm TV. Any other business?
I have 2 items. Have you anything, Coach?
Oh, go on ahead. Let's hear your two. I'll think of something, no doubt.
One, I just wanted to thank Coach for coming back. All of it's so much fun doing the podcast tonight. It brings back great memories of a great time in my life when we were doing this every week together. So thanks for that. Paddy, have you got the link for Smitty's thing?
I do. There it is.
If you can link along the bottom there. Are you able to bring that, like the raffle up on the lower page or anything? While I
will do.
Our very good friend, John Smith, is running a little for cancer in children and young people. So I've just got a little spiel to read. Cancer Research's UK children and young people. Cancer in children and young people differs from cancer in adults, so it needs a different dedicated approach. Children's cancers are often much more diverse and rare, and treatment can be more harmful to their tiny bodies, but they are often treated the same way as adult cancers. There are around 1,900 children aged from newborns to 14 and 2,300 young people from 15 to 24 diagnosed with cancer each year. 84% of children and young people survive for at least 10 years. While survival has improved, cancer remains the leading cause of death by disease in children over the age of 1. Survival for some cancers affecting this age group haven't improved since the 1970s. As the biggest charitable funder of research into children and young people's cancer in the UK, CR UK is driving forward to progress and ensure more children and young people that have cancer can live longer and better lives. This is a Belfast Giants 25-26 signed stick, signed by the whole roster. Get your raffle tickets, £2 each. Every single penny is going to CR UK. Speak to John Smith, you'll see him on Twitter, but there's the link down below. Paddy will put it in AVFTB because I know Neil Russell will say, if I say I'll do it,
I was
probably won't happen.
I'll take my leg up after the show.
Get yourselves, watch this on repeat and get the link. But
yeah, tinyurl.com/giant stick. That's giant.
If you've got a couple of quid to drop it in the bucket there, the virtual bucket, you've got a chance of winning on a stick. So
good stuff. Well done, Smitty. Well done. Good to see. Good to see. And good luck with that. Get involved, guys. It's a great prize and a great cause. Anything else, boys?
Just a thank you for the invitation on this evening. I know I've been somewhat reluctant on previous invites and so on and so forth. I just feel like a tiny bit of a fraud these days where I'm just watching on the webcast. I'm still watching home and away and all that type of stuff, but I don't know, I don't feel as super engaged as I obviously once was for a very, very long time. So I always feel like a tiny bit of a fraud compared to, obviously Sis and Gareth and so on and so forth who are at the arena watching all the games. But brings back, as Davey says, brings back great memories of the three amigos on here. Used to be sat in our bedrooms, didn't we, doing this on our phones Skype. And on Skype and all the rest. Absolutely superb times, great times. But it's crazy, isn't it? Whatever 25, 26 years down the line here as an organization. Somebody mentioned it there, continually packed barns. Just it's amazing to see, really, since the turn of COVID. How much the club has grown, seeing the Friendship 4 and all that type of stuff. Just the thanks, Andrea. It most definitely has fitted. I'm just back from Austria. Might have picked up some rays on the slopes, but it's been great to be back on with you boys again, and might squeeze in another one before the end of the season.
Pleasure to have you back on, mate, as always. And yeah, you were the first one to move to TV. Now we've all moved to TV, mate. This is how we've worked now. But it's good to see you, mate. And thanks for joining us. And if that's it, then we'll just wrap things up, boys. Away to Guildford on Wednesday, at home to Dundee on Saturday, away to Manchester on Sunday. You can get them on their various. If you're not making the trips to see those games, you'll get them on the various streaming stations. Big thanks to everybody who has joined us, to Laura, to Simon, to Kohei, to Kieran, to Karl Boudrias, and of course to Cam Critchlow. Our thoughts, our prayers go out to the family of Blake McCaughey after that sad news. But thanks to everybody who's sent in messages and helped us pay tribute, and hopefully, there's some comfort for the parents and for Pixie over the next while to see so many people come back with such wonderful things to say about him. You can get us on all our sort of socials and that sort of stuff, and wherever you are this weekend, we hope you enjoy your hockey, and we'll catch you here next time on A View from the Bridge.